You know, today is my wife's birthday, August 2nd, and my wife is 77 today. I was 77 in March, and my wife and I have been married since we were 15 years old. Can you imagine 15 years old? We got married, and we were so much in love that we just didn't want to wait. Our parents, her parents, and my parents uh, tried to get us to wait until we graduated, at least until we graduated from high school, and then if we still felt the same way, get married then. We were going to the 10th grade, uh, to the 11th grade, going to the 11th grade. But we were insistent that we didn't want to wait, that we wanted to get married now. Well, they consented, they relented, and they went ahead and they signed the papers because my wife and I were both too young to sign a legal document. So our parents signed allowing us to get married, and we got married in 1953, September 19th, 1953. So next month, we will have been married for 62 years. We completed the 11th and the 12th grade as a married couple. Now, but let me tell you what happened. After I got married, the school had started in September. I got married in September. I was already enrolled in school. And about a week after I had been married, the principal of the high school came into my classroom and said that he needed to see me in the office. So I left my classroom and I followed him and went into his office. And he said, "I got bad news for you." And I asked him, "What is it?" I thought something was wrong with my family at home. He said, "Well, the PTA had a meeting last night and they voted to expel you from school because they felt that now that you're married, you're going to be a negative influence on the other children." Well, I was in shock. I didn't know how I could possibly be a negative influence on the children that were attending school. They were all my friends, and everything that I knew, I learned from them, and vice versa. So anyway, I had no choice. I had to leave. But he assured me that I will do everything possible to make sure that you get back in school. And so I left, and I went home, and I spent the next 3 weeks trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life? What am I equipped to do? I can't go to school, and I'm not old enough to even get a good job, a decent job. And so I was in a state of limbo, not knowing what my future held. And true to his word, about 3 weeks after that dismissal from school, he came to my home and he said, "How would you like to come back to school?" I said, "I'd love to." So he said, "Come to school on Monday, then you'll be reinstated." And I went to school on Monday and I met with him in his office before I went to the classroom. And he explained to me that there had been a meeting and that the laws of the state of Texas states that anyone under the age of 18 has a right to an education. And it made no distinction as to whether that individual was married or single. And as a consequence, I was entitled to go to school. I had every right to be enrolled in school because I was under 18. So I did. I went back to school, and boy, was I ever happy to get back in school. I just think about that all these many years later. I think about what my life could have been like if I had not been allowed to continue my education. There are many possibilities of which I don't even want to think about as to the course and the direction my life could have taken. But through it all and through the grace of God, I was able to finish the 11th grade married, the 12th grade marriage, and go on to college married. So I've been married all of my life. My wife Lillian and I have 4 children. We have 10 grandchildren, and we have 4 great grandchildren. And so, what was once a very unsure relationship, or unstable relationship, consisting of 2 individuals who were determined to get married, has now become a community of 18. I tell my wife all the time, look, there used to be just you and me, and now there are 18 of us as a result of our procreation. So we've been blessed. It's amazing how relationships can either survive or they can be destroyed as you move through life's channels. Why some marriages last and others don't, there are answers and there are reasons that are all over the place as to why that is. But in my situation, in my wife Lillian's situation, we believe that our relationship was born in heaven. We just believe that all of the stars aligned and all of the gods were in unity, and it was preordained that we were destined to find each other and to find eternal and lasting love. And I can tell you categorically, without any reservation, that my feeling in my heart for my wife today, 62 years old, 62 years later, is just as strong now as it was 62 years ago. I still find her adorable. I find her wonderful, beautiful, intriguing, fascinating, and I love her with all my heart. And I just pray that the Lord will continue to give us peace, understanding, more love if that's possible. Just want to share the moment. And today, since it's her birthday, I made breakfast for her. I'm planning a big dinner this evening with about 20 friends over. We're going to start around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm anticipating that gathering of her friends and her family and the people that love and adore her. So to all of you, I say, if you have a marriage or if you're in a relationship, try to make it work. Try to sustain that relationship for as long as you possibly can. Some relationships are unsustainable. I understand that. Some of them are not meant to be, but you're in them. But for those that there is a possibility of maintaining and sustaining, I would wish for you that you would put forth every effort to make it a victory. At the first sign of trouble, don't bail out on the relationship. Try to see it through. But I would encourage no one to stay in an abusive relationship, whether physical or mental. But arguments are going to be a part of the norm. You can expect that. Anytime you have 2 people living under the same roof, there are going to be some disagreements. But all disagreements don't have to end in a termination of the relationship. You have to be able to distinguish between those things that are tolerable and those things that are intolerable. And you have to have a patience for the relationship, develop a patience, work on the relationship. Let me give you one more point. When my wife and I first were married, we would have our disagreements. We would have our arguments, as a matter of fact, because my wife is they say alpha males. Well, I can tell you my wife is an alpha female. She's a leader. She's strong. She's opinionated. She has a definitive personality. And so we clashed on many occasions about what we were about in terms of our roles in the family. And sometimes we couldn't communicate verbally. So for some reason, out of the clear blue sky, I decided one time to write a note to my wife and put it on the refrigerator. Now, when I wrote the note, I didn't talk about the, not liking her or my resentment for her. What I talked about is the things that we found differences on. In other words, I don't like the way. I don't like it when. It's never I don't like you or you. I think you are opinionated. I think you are insensitive. I didn't say any of those things about her. I never attacked her. My statements are always about the things that we were doing, never about the individual. There's a big difference. Now, you sit down and think about it. The attack of the individual as opposed to addressing and attacking the things that the individual does. That makes a difference. And when I wrote that note, it was God inspired because I really, there is no university to teach you how to live in a marital state. There's no institution that teaches you how to make a relationship work. That comes purely by living the experience with the person that you're with. And so as a consequence, it came into my spirit as to how to word it, what to say, and to pin it on the refrigerator. I did that, and a wonderful thing happened. She took the note, she read it, and she wrote me back. She responded to the note. Things we couldn't verbalize or articulate, we were able to write it out to each other. And that's what opened the channels again and allowed us to start to communicate. Now, I could have taken that attitude of obstination, the obstinate attitude that we had at the time and say, the hell with it, I'm out of here. I'm not going to live with this. I'm not going to endure this. I'm not going to tolerate this. You go your way, I'll go mine. But no, I wanted to save the relationship, and obviously she did too. So a relationship can only be saved when two people are willing to work at it and to try to do the things that are going to make the relationship work. We took a vow early in our marriage that we would never let anger keep us from staying together. That we would never sleep in separate beds. That I would sleep in the bed, angry as I was, she would sleep in the bed, angry as she was. Just stay on your side and I'll stay on mine. And I think that makes a difference too. Where you're willing to go through it in a way that's going to create a positive lifestyle somewhere down the road. Maybe it's rough at that spot. The spot you're in or the position you're in, it seems like it's difficult to get past that. But if you kind of stay the course, stay the relationship, do the things that will make the relationship positive. Don't do the things that feed the negative aspects of the relationship, which is to go sleep on a couch or go to mom's home or to go to a hotel. Any of those things that destroy the unity within the relationship, those are the things you want to avoid. It's like any other situation where you've got negative influences all around you. You don't want to continue to appeal to those negative influences. You can only counteract the negative influences with positive influences and loving relationships. That's how you neutralize the negativity in a relationship, is by embracing the positive aspects around you, all of the positive forces around you, all of the things that work for perfection around you. Don't buy into the negative. Don't subscribe to those things, because it continues to perpetuate a negative result. So that's what I have for you today on my wife's birthday, August 2nd. And I'll be coming back with more information from time to time. Not information that's perfect. Some of it may not work for you, but at least that may be a kernel of information that I disseminate here that might be helpful in some small way. But until I see you again or talk to you again,